We're going to get this party started, this content-infested meeting, event, workshop, and we're going to start it off with someone who's just blowing it up in the social media scene. She is the VP of Marketing and Sales. Let's give a thunderous round of applause for the Madison Del Maso.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to the Real Estate Mindset Mastery, and happy Saturday. Today might be very different from your normal real estate training. So normally in niche markets, whether you're in real estate, network marketing, whether you're in a corporate job, right, you have training that applies to the specific things that you're doing. It's very task-oriented. It's, here's the information, and then this is what you go and do. But what they don't tell you is how to use your mind. What they don't tell you is the mindset behind what you're doing. Right? If you're in real estate, a lot of you probably know real estate agents or yourself, where you get your license, you get going, and then you're like, well, how do I talk to people? Well, who do I attract? How do I attract people? How do I get my name out there? How do I become this person so people want to reach out to me and they want to come to me to sell their homes? So that's really what we're going to get into today. You guys all have your specific trainings back with your companies that you're individually with. Today we're more going to focus on the mindset behind real estate and how you can set goals in real estate and achieve what it is that you want out of real estate. So the person I'm going to introduce to you guys today actually is not a real estate agent, which is also kind of comical because normally you have the best person in your industry teaching you how they are the best at what they're doing, right? But the thing is, most people that are the best at what they're doing can't articulate to you why they're the best at what they're doing. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? How many of you go to the top real estate agents and you're like, what are you doing? Tell me. And they're like, I don't know. I just do it. Well, I don't know. I just do it, right? So we're going to teach you guys today why they think, act, and operate, how they think, act, and operate. How did they become that person? What are they thinking all day long in order to get the results that they get? So the person I'm going to introduce to you guys today started out as a mechanical engineer. He went 43 years without knowing the information we're going to share with you guys today. And when he stumbled upon it, he went from one revenue stream to 14 revenue streams. He went from, the traditional, societal dream of what life is supposed to look like to creating his own life. He went on to study with Bob Proctor. If any of you know Bob Proctor, he's a Canadian multimillionaire in human wealth performance and thought performance, I guess you could say. So he's actually Bob's #1 consultant globally, and very, very qualified to teach his stuff at a very high level. So please welcome Brian Del Maso.
Thank you, everybody. Matt, my beautiful offspring was very correct, but I do have my real estate sales license. I'm just not a realtor, so I'm not completely oblivious. I don't want to scare you guys. So what I want to start off with this morning is just get you guys thinking. And I love the story, if you guys have ever heard this, the story of the fly, right? You guys have all seen this is why it's such a good story. You see a fly on the window at your house, buzzing, buzzing, buzzing against the window, trying to get outside is what they're doing, right? And they're trying harder and harder and harder, and no matter how hard that fly tries, like it's never going to break the glass. It's physically impossible, right? Unless the thing's on steroids or something. So you're looking at this fly, and I don't know if any of you have ever thought of this, but if you think about the mentality, the fly's just trying harder and harder and harder, like working, right? Human beings working harder and harder. You ever hear that phrase, work harder, right? And we get taught this stuff in school. We get taught it by our parents and generations. But very similar to the fly, it's not about working harder. It seems like it is. We're conditioned to believe it is, but it's not. And as evidenced by the fly, right? Now look at this picture right here, right? About 18 inches below freedom. Think about that as a human being. 18 inches below, a shift in awareness. Small shift in awareness. See, we get so focused on what we're doing in our lives, like I'm going to earn money, paycheck, 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 that we don't see what's around us. We're not aware of all the other revenue streams, especially in real estate. You might get focused in on, $200,000 to $300,000 homes or rentals. Just boom, boom. You're working harder and harder and harder. And you're not thinking leverage, scale, bigger, commercial. That makes sense? So then in society, we see a lot of this, right? Does this look like the people you grew up with in high school? You know what I mean? This is what happens, right? We see a lot of that, and then the opportunity goes away, right? The window closes. So today, guys, like Maddie said, I'm not going to teach you that much about real estate. You know how to sell real estate. My name is Brian Dalmausa, for those of you who don't know me. And as Maddie said, I'm using this material to really leverage and scale and grow a lot of other businesses, but I'm also using it to teach people. I love to coach and teach and train, and that's what we're here to do today, is to really hopefully get you guys thinking. All right, and again, I'm not here to teach you real estate. You are going to get some tips and some things that will help in real estate, but I'm not here to teach how to do an open house. It's not a vertical specific training. Right? I'm here to teach you about the mind, and more importantly, the mindset, as applied towards any business, as applied towards life, health, wealth, real estate, whatever you want, and how to be more effective. So you guys already know what to do, no matter what business you're in. But if you're a realtor, you've probably been to countless trainings, seminars, you've been online, you've probably studied with Grant Cardone in one way or another because he's a master at marketing. You've taken these courses, so you know what to do. The thing is, why aren't we doing it, right? We have something that we call here, this is the knowing-doing gap. This is the difference between knowing what to do in the conscious mind and suppressing it into your subconscious mind to make your body take action. Does that make sense? So we're going to close the knowing-doing gap today. And I just want to, get you guys thinking, why is it that 96% of the world's wealth is earned by 1% of the population? Think about that. These are numbers, I don't make these up. Why is it that 1% earn 96%? Right? Because we all go to school, grade school, high school, college, we're all going through the same factory. So it's something to think about. And more specifically, in real estate, why is it that something like 85 to 90% of people that get their real estate sales license never market a home? It has the highest dropout rate of any vertical, any industry, even over network marketing, believe it or not. So for those of people that are beaten up on network marketing, real estate has a higher dropout rate. A lot of people come in part-time, they were a school teacher or a contractor, they get their license, and they go out there and try and do it, and they hit a wall, you know? So we're going to help with some of that today. We're going to help you guys shift your mindset and really become more aware. Now this is one of the saddest facts here, right? 93% of people get to retirement, they have to work second jobs. You know, we only got one go-around as far as we know, and what we want to do is raise our level of awareness, take action. You don't want to get to be 60, 65, 70 years old and not having, like, put a stake in the ground and taken action. Shifted your awareness, shifted your effectiveness, increase your multiple revenue streams. Like, the time is now. Time's always ticking, right? Time is the most precious element. So we're going to help you with some of this too. But here's some of the reasons, guy, right? We're simply not taught this stuff in school. If you go back, right, they teach you A, B, C, which we need, you know. 1 + 1 is 2, but not always. Not if you're an entrepreneur. 1 + 1 is 11, right? It's leverage. And that's going to bend some people's minds. We're not taught decision making. We're not taught self-image. This is probably the biggest thing. If we were to actually teach self-image in the schools, it would change the entire globe. That's not an understatement. If we knew who and what we are and how to shift our image of ourselves to what we want, which you're gonna see how to do that here today. But I mean, there's only a few people here, right? My mission is to get this out to the world, but self-image is a big one. It's not taught in schools. So it's not even our fault, right? Well, if we're not taking action, if we're not producing, if we're not successful, it's really not your fault because you haven't been educated. And your parents haven't been educated, and their parents, and their parents. It's generational, right? We're not taught wealth building. We're not taught paradigms, and that's the big one, right? So that's the problem. We're simply not taught this stuff in school. And if you haven't heard of a paradigm, we're gonna give you that definition. We're really going to explain that, break it down to layman's terms, because that's the gist of this seminar today. To teach you what a paradigm is and how to shift it. Because the fact of the matter is, if you want to be more successful, if you want to perform, if you want to live in a healthy, fit body, if you want to be wealthy, you have to shift the mindset, which is called the paradigm. So here's Webster's dictionary, right, of a paradigm. It talks about being a framework or a mental construct or some kind of a construct. But as we're talking about here today, you can see here, a paradigm is a set of mental programs stored in your subconscious mind that cause all of your habitual behavior. I want you to really think about that. A paradigm is a set of mental programs stored in your subconscious mind that causes all of your physical behavior, right? You never chose to speak the language that you're speaking, unless you came to this country and chose English. But for the most part, you were born, that language is spoken around you, it went right into your subconscious mind, and now you have a program called speaking. Does that make sense? We also have a program called walking. Like if I tried to use my conscious mind to do this, I would look like a baby, right? Trying to trigger all the muscles with my conscious mind. See, your conscious mind only processes about 40 bits of information per second. But the subconscious processes about 4 million bits per second. Think about that. The subconscious mind is 1,000,000 times more powerful than the conscious mind. So we're always consciously learning stuff and suppressing it into our subconscious to cause our body to take action. We're going to talk more about this. I know it's kind of a deep subject, but this is how strong habits are. I really want you to think about this. Think about smoking. I'm going to spend a fortune buying these things, sticking them in my face, lighting them up, causing lung cancer, emphysema, rotting my gums. Like, just think about that whole concept and how strong a paradigm is, right? What happens with smoking, it's environmental. You either grew up in a family of people that smoke, you went to high school and they were smoking, it's environmental, right? Nobody would ever, ever, ever choose smoking. You really think about that, right? I'm going to choose to kill myself one thing at a time, you know? I mean, if we made a habit of putting guns to our head when you were a baby, you'd do that too. That's how strong this is, right? We just don't know any better. So if you're already smoking in here, sorry, we can teach you how to. You probably won't after the seminar. I know that sounds like a big commitment or a big promise. You probably won't. We've had people in our programs quit instantly once they figure out the knowing-doing gap. And you're gonna learn it here today. So my mentor, Bob Proctor, he says something. He likes to punch people in the gut, right? He talks about the difference between really awareness and stupidity, or knowledge and stupidity, right? Or ignorance, I should say, right? Ignorance is just not knowing. Stupidity is knowing and then not doing, right? So after today, you guys are going to no longer be ignorant, right? That's about. He likes to. So you can make habits doing anything, right? You can make the habit of smoking, but you can also make it a habit of marketing a lot of real estate. The subconscious mind wouldn't know the difference. That's the key. The conscious mind does. Wait, that doesn't even make sense. Smoking's like this thing I just do, and then real estate's really hard. It's I got to do this, 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 and this. See, that's all conscious thinking now. Your subconscious wouldn't know the difference. And you guys all know people in your companies that are like top performers. I mean top performers, 6 or 7 figure earners. Or you at least know in some company of somebody that's crushing it at that level. Now if you ask them what they're doing, that might give you a couple of mechanical things, but they're not going to be able to articulate the science and the physics behind what they're doing. That's what we're here to do today. So that's why Maddie, when she introduced me, she said, this is going to be different. I'm not here to teach you how to do an open house, right? You're going to get some stuff, but it's mostly about the mindset. So what I'm here to tell you is you can make a habit of selling homes. You can make a habit of, I thought that was God speaking for a minute. You can make a habit of being the top earner in your company, or whatever it is you want. You can make a habit of living in a fit body. You can make a habit of being a marathon runner. You need to consciously start that chain. That's the difference. You need to break the paradigm consciously, and then we have a lot of different ways we're going to show you. So you can make a habit of selling homes. Right, so I'm going to give you my background a little bit just so you understand where I'm from. Like I said, I'm not a realtor, although I do have my license. I've been in construction for about 20 years. I was an engineer before that at GE. And we've worked our way up now. We build pretty high-end homes with my business partner, Kenny Cloutier, back there. But it wasn't always this. It wasn't always 14 revenue streams. Matter of fact, like Maddie said, I was rowing that same boat of ignorance up until age 43. Right? I was twice divorced, living in a condo, even though I was building homes. And I had a construction company that was doing about $1 million a year. As soon as I bumped into this information here and I got a mentor, started working with Bob Proctor, within 12 months, that company scaled to $10 million. So from $1 million to $10 million in 12 months. Now, I don't say that to impress you. It's more to impress upon you, like, what was the difference? What was the difference? 43 years one way. I was an engineer. I was a solar engineer, architect, builder. But 43 years old and what I call American broke, right? Living in a condo. By 43 years old, I should have been sitting on $10 million in retirement. I should have been way up there. So this information, as you can tell, it's really impacted my life. And that's why we do these free events, right? We want to get this information out. We want to have you have a paradigm shift. We just want to get this stuff out there because of the impact. So now this is what we do, right? I went from doing kitchen remodels, additions, myself, with a small team, running jobs, the occasional, small house, to building multi-million-dollar homes, right, with this information. Now from there, we've also spun off a whole bunch of companies, right? We get software, we get clothing, we get consulting company, we get a gaming company, all these other companies. Now, here's the key to this, guys. So there's some people that were brand new in real estate here. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. That's the cool thing. And I'll give you a good example. If you wanted to be a seven-figure earner in real estate, if you knew how, think about this, you'd already be doing it. Let that one sink in. If you knew how, you would already be doing it. So you got to fall in love with the fact that you're not going to know how. You got to make a decision first, and then the rest comes. And we're going to show you how to do that. Again, we get a clothing company. Now, guys, I don't know nothing about clothing, right? Nothing. I don't have to. I decided I want a clothing company, right? Started masterminding using the principles that we're talking about. I found the right people. I learned how to attract the right people into my life for businesses. So all the stuff we're going to teach you here today, if you're a realtor and you want to be a broker nationally or internationally, you're just going to make a decision. There's no difference between you and the CEO of Keller Williams, right? Everybody starts at ground zero for the most part. Unless somebody's handed a business, most of these people, they started off young or maybe even middle-aged like myself with a seminar or a training or a mentor. There's some paradigm shift that took them from where they are to where they are now. Does that make sense? So I want you guys all to know you can set the limit as high as you want. We're going to show you how to do that here today. So guys, again, how did all this happen, right? And it's not about me. Like I said, I'm not here to impress you, but 14 revenue streams in 3 or 4 years from where I was to where it is now. Like, what's the difference? What's the difference? If anybody's here read the book Think and Grow Rich, that's part of the difference. That's the philosophy and the sciences of these success principles that we teach here today. And that's what Bob teaches too. So if I had to sum it up, and I did a little bit before, but if I had to really sum up how you have a paradigm shift, it's changing your self-image. I know that sounds a little ethereal or maybe a little woo-woo, but you got to understand there's physics and science behind the self-image. Your self-image is the projection that you have of yourself. Right now, you guys all have 2 images, and if you're in a marriage or relationship, you actually have 6. And I'll explain that to you. You have the image that you project to people, but you also have, who you are inside. So everybody's got 2 images, one we're projecting and one that we really are. Now the idea is to shift the one on the inside to be even above the one with projection for a long enough period of time that your subconscious mind will take over. It's called the actor's technique, and cause your body to take action. Because the fact of the matter is anybody in this room can 10x your wealth in 12 months. Right? I mean, I did it with construction, then we did it again. We 10x'd our companies, right? And again, I don't say that to impress you. I was very ignorant about this stuff. There's nothing special about me except maybe I was hungry, Maybe that's the thing. I was definitely hungry, 43 years old, like living in a condo. I'm like, I should be all over the world by now. Like, what the F is going on, And it's just beautiful to see my daughter at 22 years old. I mean, she's got 5 revenue streams, VP of sales. That's what can happen when you get this information to your kids at a young age. We were talking about this stuff when she was even 10 and 12 years old. And then we talked about it a lot at 18 and actually dragged her on to start her own little company. So self-image is everything. So take a look at this picture. You might be getting a lot of funny ideas like I'm a lunatic or something, but this is what I call a composite self-image. That makes sense? Think about that. We're using the actor's technique. Does everybody here know Heath Ledger, the actor? How he died making the movie Batman as the Joker? You ever wonder why? You ever wonder what happened to him? Good-looking kid, 28 years old, killing, crushing life all over the world. You ever wonder what happened? Right? We call this the actor's technique because this is how powerful it is. A good actor, they don't act, they become. They don't act, they become. They take the script They get emotionally involved with the script. They repeat it over and over and over. It's like affirmations. We call it autosuggestion. They repeat this to their subconscious mind, and then they start acting, in that case, like the deep, dark, crazy villain of the Joker. Now, he did that for a period of whatever the movie, a year and a half or something. And what happened is he never came out of it. And I read up on him, and he was acting that Joker part 24/7. Good actors do that. They don't just show up and act. The real good ones, they stay in character for the entire length of the movie, even with their friends, even at home. It's crazy. It's called the actor's technique. Now, you can do that to go from where you are to where Warren Buffett is today, if you choose, if that's what you want, if you want that kind of wealth. Anybody can. You can take where you are right now, take these principles that we're going to teach you, and this is just the tip of the sword, guys. We're going to give you as much as we can in a seminar, but if this piques your interest, we obviously work with people one-on-one. But if you look at this, here's my mentor, Bob, right? So he's the mindset coach. I want to take that element from him. He's probably the most knowledgeable person in the world right now living about the human mindset as applied to wealth building. You got Ray Dalio, the most successful investor in history. A lot of people think Warren Buffett is. It's not. It's Ray Dalio. This guy needs no, right? That's just my inner, right? That's what that is, you know? Everybody knows this guy, right? When we build up our software company, we sell it, I'm going to dump it all into commercial, large commercial real estate. Right? They just built a new Wynn here in Boston. Somebody had to build it. Why not me? Why not you? Now, guys, I'm not here to put my goals in your head. Some people might have a goal. It's like, I just want enough money. I want to raise my family. I want money coming in. I want to be able to travel. You know, I'd like to get to $10 million. I just want to be, I don't have to think about money anymore. And quite honestly, that's really everybody. When you really get to the core of it and you ask people, most people just don't want to have to worry about money. They just want it coming in. They can come and go as they please. They can design their life. They can work 4 to 6 hours a day, but they can show up at the bus stop. They can go on they can experience life. Right? So what happened to me is I went 43 years one way and a big roller coaster. I've had a beautiful life. I'm not complaining. But I've had money, lost it. $1 million home, lost it. Wife, lost her a couple times, right? So what is that all about? Well, it's a paradigm, number one, and it's learning how to attract. See, most people just bump into each other. Oh, she's hot. Let's get married. But it's not like an attraction. Like, what do I even want in the first place? What do I even want in the first place? Well, that's a whole other seminar. But so if you look around, right, Richard Branson, I love about him. Now, this is not like I want to look like him, right? I want to look like this dude or, trying to, maybe in this region here. Well, that would be a tough one. I guess when you're with somebody long enough. But Richard Branson, right, he's a billionaire philanthropist. I mean, if you understand the Virgin labels and the Virgin Records, Virgin Atlantic Airlines, all of his companies, he's got over 300 companies, and he's all about giving back. He's got like this second chance program where he hires ex-convicts, pulls them right out of there. One of his top people is an ex-con that he gave a second chance to. That's what I want to do. I want to get to that level where you're just impacting, coaching, teaching, training. So I have my own goals, and you should have your own. But now most people won't go home and do this. But most people won't hit their goals. This doesn't make sense to most people. It's not taught in schools. Schools teach you how to be the 93% that don't retire, though. And I'm not beating up on schools. They don't know any better. They're not taught this stuff. The educational system, they're doing the best they can. I absolutely have a high respect for teachers because they're handcuffed. They're teaching stuff most of them don't even believe in. It's a century old, right? I mean, there's other countries that are just kicking the crap out of us. We're like number 53 in education now. We haven't progressed, So that's what we're doing here. And we have a program called the Matrix Mindset Academy. It's out for the masses, right? Education for the masses. So this is something I would recommend doing. Maybe one or two of you are going to do it, I know some that have. I would strongly suggest it. It's something you can put up on the wall, and you're going to see why stuff like this works in a bit. So mentors, right? So if I go back to that picture, mentor, right? Mentor. You got to meet your mentors. You want to succeed at a high level? Go find somebody that's done it, make them your friend, and learn from them, and do it exactly what they say. Don't do some of what they say, right? My way wasn't working for the first 43 years. Wasn't working. I found somebody whose way was working, demonstrated by his results. Right? Now, I wasn't listening to what he said. I look at he's got a company that operates in 123 countries. He's 84 years old, still setting goals. Like his goal this year is to break $100 million with his company. Still teaching, coaching, training. So he's 84, so he obviously knows something that most people don't, because most people they're either gone or one foot in the grave. They're not running around doing seminars in Australia and then Vegas. I mean, we jumped a jet right here. We were in Toronto. He did a full training. We jumped on a jet, went to the Bellagio. It's so cool. Got up the next morning. He did like a 4-hour seminar straight at 84 years old. We flew back and he started teaching. He didn't think anything of it. Think about that, 84 years old. It's a mindset. He doesn't hang out with old people. He doesn't hang out with old people. You become the people you hang out with. What do they talk about? He's talking about, how can I create new companies? Like, I'm just getting started. And then Damon John, I was down in New York City with him last week. We were, we have a clothing label. Well, anybody know FUBU? $6 billion clothing company? So where am I getting my information from? Right? It's not rocket science. Now, how do you make Damon John your friend? Well, that's a whole other thing. We probably have to schedule a strategy session for that one. But the thing that's cool about Damon is he started with this book. That's the cool thing. He started the same way I started, by coming across this book and then following that information. At 16 years old, and I don't know who gave it to him, where he got it. And if you know his backstory, I mean, he grew up in New York and not a nice neighborhood. Like, people were getting shot, killed, drugs. He was in a really bad environment. And he's what we call an unconscious competent. It means he took action, got in harmony with these principles, but he can't articulate why. And when I was down there last week talking with him, I talked to him about this, and his eyes just opened, you know. Because, I mean, millions of people read this book and nothing happens. Right? He was a scientist. He carried that around like a Bible. His friends thought he was crazy. Picture being in the Bronx and everybody's doing all this stuff, growing up, and this one kid has this book. Right? And he's just reading this book every day, reading this book every day, reading this book every day. That's part of the deal, guys, right? So you want to, in real estate, you want to find somebody that's modeling the behavior you want, whether it's in your company or whether it's Grant Cardone. Like, you'll see probably next year or towards the end of this year, I'll be getting trained by Grant Cardone. Like, he's somebody I'm going to train with. I've made the decision. He will become a friend, you know. And again, I don't say that to impress you. It's just, that's part of my journey. He's this close, or if not over a billionaire. I know he controls $1 billion in real estate now. So he obviously has demonstrated by his results that he knows what he's talking about. So that's worth spending my time and money. It'll probably cost 6 figures to sit with him. Now that shuts most people down, investing in themselves. We do this for free because people have a hang-up. They don't even know what money is. So we want people to come, so we do it for free. We should be charging, $1,000 for this when you see the information, because it's life-changing. Right? So we're going to teach you how the 1% thinks and acts and operates. And we're going to show you how to apply it towards real estate. All right, guys, so this is something we use to show probably how most of you are thinking now. And your thinking is environmental. Meaning you went through school, high school, right? Your thinking right now is mostly environmental, how you process information. Again, we're not really taught how to think. What you're taught how to do is study and then store data, like math, English, history, science. You're not taught how to make decisions. You're not taught how to think. And I'm going to show you that here. So the typical masses, what they do is they wake up in the morning, they look at the results, the bank account, they look in the mirror, they see results, where they're living, their marriage, whatever it is. They see the results, and the results cause their thinking for the day. Right? So they look around and say, oh, it's Monday. Mondays suck. I think Mondays are amazing. It's just as good as any other day. I love Mondays, Now, we all live in the same world, and why would I love Mondays and most people think they suck? Same exact planet, same everything. It's a different perception. It's a different mindset. Right? So we have that same old thinking. Now, the same old thinking produces the same old feelings. Now, this is where you're going to have a little bit of an aha moment. You might want to write this one down. So when I say the word feelings, feelings is nothing more than the conscious awareness of the vibration that you're in. I'm going to say that again. We're going to show you the science behind that. When I say feelings, feeling is nothing more than the conscious awareness of the vibration that your mind and body's in. Everything in the universe is in motion. It's in a vibration. We're going to show you the science behind that. So if the same old thinking causes the same old feelings or the same old vibration, that same old feeling is going to cause your body to take the same actions. This is why people drive to dead-end jobs every day for 40 years. Bob calls this a self-fulfilling doom cycle. We look at the results, causes of thinking, drive to work, traffic jam, same actions, go to work, come home. It's a typical master. This is how we're programmed. Again, it's nobody's fault. This is how I was programmed too, for a while, you know. But you can see how we break the cycle, and Maddie she's my Maddie little experiment, right? My offspring, my offspring. You know, I started talking, and I didn't know what I was doing, but what I was doing is shifting her paradigm at age 10, 12, right? And she was going to school, but more importantly, she saw what me and her mom were doing, two entrepreneurs. So she had that same environment at school, but she would come home and be in a different environment. And the conversations we had were very, very open. I talked to her like an adult, you know. And we still did a lot of fun things. It wasn't like this project, but we look back on it. Her and I have deep conversations now. And I mean deep conversations. So how many have deep conversations with your teenagers? Like really connected deep about how this all works? After today, you'll probably be able to, especially if you send them this recording. So we're going to show you the 1% things. Now, I don't mean money. I mean the 1% of people that really live life on their own terms. Very few people design their life, right? And it's the wealth, it's the relationships, there's no drama, they're calm, no stress, no anxiety. Right? We're going to show you how to get rid of all that stuff today too. So very few people actually live, like Richard Branson I think is one of them. I'm moving towards that. I'm very, very close. By the summertime, I'll be there, which means I literally wake up and do exactly what I want. Think about that one. No, nothing. Like we have our construction company. We're winding down a few projects, so I'm still, working with some clients. But think about that, being able to wake up and there's nobody pulling you around. We don't normally get that until we retire. And even then, it's only 3 to 5%. But why not design that life now? Why not take some action, make some decisions, design a life over the next 12, 24 months, maybe 3 years even. Those years are going to go by anyway. That's the thing. We're all in this ride anyway. So why not take some daily action, make some decisions, and see how big we can play this game? Right? So the 1%, we start with new thinking. What do I want? Well, you get an idea of what I want, right? We're just creating companies, and it's a big game. So the question is, what do you want, though? Now, most of you have never really asked that question, and let me clarify that. When you ask the question, you're basing it on what you think you can get. And that's the thing that's holding you back. When you say, what do I want? Well, I'd like to break 6 figures in my company or at work. So you're not even thinking 6 figures a week. It's just not even in the realm of thinking. So you're limiting your thoughts based on what you think you can get. We're going to teach you here that that's just not the way to go. You want to first decide what do you want, however big it is. I don't care what it is. The fact of the matter is you can accomplish anything. And by the end of the seminar, you're going to see that. You're going to see it, and you're going to, more importantly, you're going to have study material that'll help you do it. We're going to get you this slide deck, the recording. You're going to play this over and over again. If you choose, you'll be able to use the spaced repetition of content with this material and rewire your subconscious thinking. I know it sounds like Dr. Frankenstein, but trust me, it's good. So the new thinking causes new feelings or new vibrations, right? Now, if you tell me you feel sad or depressed, what you're really saying is I'm consciously aware that I'm in a low vibration. And if you tell me that you're excited or happy, you're telling me I'm consciously aware that I'm in a high vibration. Does that make sense, guys? So we can change our vibration, and that's the key here, to constantly be in a high vibration, right? So new feelings produce new actions, and new actions produce new results, right? This isn't rocket science. It's just not taught. I mean, this makes sense, doesn't it? Right? This is not like Harvard-level stuff. This makes sense. I'm going to wake up and think, not what I have, not what's in my bank account, not what I physically look like. What do I want to look like? What do I want to earn? Right? The vision is the tip of the sword to all this stuff. And guys, we can go through person after person after person. There's so much evidence of this. Henry Ford came to this country as an immigrant, never made it past the 6th grade because he had to go work for his family to survive. And I love this quote, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're correct. So that just sounds, at first we read that and we're like, well, that's kind of cool, Henry. But that's a literal statement. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't is going to cause your subconscious mind to drive the body to take the action to produce those results. See, depression and wealth are opposite sides of the same coin. We're transmuting energy all the time. and we can transmute it into the physical form of a depressed person or into like a Henry Ford or somewhere in between. And most people are doing both. Most people are doing both, almost everybody, right? So we're going to go over the universal laws a little bit, guys. And if you've never studied the universal laws, it's a very deep subject, but we're going to kind of teach it at a 6th grade level here. And the 7 primary laws is the law of vibration that we talked about a little bit. There's the perpetual transmutation of energy. This is the one we're going to dive into these 2 a little bit to really get you guys to understand who and what you really are as a success mechanism, right? As a mind-body connection. We have the law of polarity, or opposites, right? You couldn't have light without dark. You couldn't be inside if it wasn't an outside. Everything has an equal and opposite. There is no good without a bad. It's all what we're looking for. We have the law of rhythms, which is kind of like the seasons, right? Winter, spring, summer, fall. It doesn't go winter, winter, summer, winter. That's the law of rhythms. We have the law of cause and effect. Everything in this universe, and I mean everything in your life has a cause and effect. Right now, you're living the effect. What do you think about that one? And I always talk about mind, body, spirit, like wealth, health, fitness, love. You're living the effects of a lot of micro decisions from before, from a lot of causes. Now, some of these causes haven't been yours. Some of it's been your parents, some of it's been the environment you were in, some of it's been the school system. So, again, there's no blame here. I was rowing that same boat, rowing the same boat. So cause and effect is a really deep one. It's really a powerful one. And then we have the law of relativity, which is nothing is either big or small until we consciously perceive it. See, $100 million might seem like a lot of money to some people. Not to Warren Buffett. I think he pays more than that in taxes every week. Everything's relative. There is no big or small guy. Selling one house or selling 1,000. Well, how do you sell 1,000? Well, you get a broker and you have 100 agents sell 10. Just start thinking. Leverage. So nothing is big or small until we consciously perceive it as such. Right? I can take the smallest particle known to man and cut it in half. And I can take that particle and cut it in half. I can take that part, right? Things go infinitely small and infinitely big. And again, that's probably even yet another seminar. And then we have the law of gestation. Everything has a gestation period. Every seed planted, whether it's an apple tree, a seed of an apple tree, or a human baby, or a thought. Now, you might not think of a thought as a seed, but it literally is. Not figuratively, it literally is. It's a seed in the soil of your mind. Right? Thoughts become things. This projector, this computer, these are all just thoughts at one point. Right? Excuse me. So everything has a gestation period. And a good way to explain this, a human baby is about 280 days. Right? From conception to birth, about 280 days. Some of you guys, what you're doing, you're starting a business, and you haven't hit 7 figures or high 6 figures yet, and you get frustrated and angry and low vibrations, and maybe I should go back to what I was doing before. What you're doing is like having a baby and expecting the delivery in 90 days. And then being frustrated is, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this happening? I want my baby. I want my baby now, right? But that's what you're doing. That's what we're doing. That's what we do. We get an idea in our head, and then if it doesn't happen, we don't understand. There's a universal law of gestation. Now, guys, these universal laws, these are not my opinions. This is science and physics, and I'm going to prove it to you. Because some of this might still be sounding a little ethereal. All right? So the law of vibration. I want to relate this to you guys to something you think you know about, but you actually don't, which is the universal law of gravity. Right? Universal law of gravity. The reason why I say that is you can't explain to me how this works. And I know that about you because the most erudite physicist in the world can't explain this. We have theories, but it's an invisible, intangible force that we're all conditioned to work with. Right? When you're a little baby and you're learning to walk and you fall over and it hurts, that feedback, you're learning to get in harmony with gravity. You get a little older, you might jump off something. Well, that's cool. And you jump off a higher thing and you break your ankle. That's feedback for your subconscious mind. Whatever this thing is, this invisible force, I don't want to do that again. So that's a feedback mechanism. So you can't explain gravity, but everybody here is conditioned to work with it. Matter of fact, human beings in general were conditioned to work with gravity. Can't see it, can't explain it, right? We're so conditioned to work with gravity that we can fly around the world at 600 miles an hour, or even faster, Mach 4 and something. We can go to the moon, we can go to Mars now, right? We don't understand gravity, but we've been conditioned to work with it to a point where we can do this. So this is no different than starting a real estate company and getting to Grant Cardone's level, right? Something that seems impossible. Flight was impossible 105 years ago. You might as well have said time travel. Now that'll make you start thinking too, because we talk about time travel, well, that's impossible. Well, is it? We're just not on the frequency of understanding yet. Think about it. 105 years ago, if you said we're going to fly around like the birds, I mean, the Wright brothers, they thought they lost their minds. Their parents were, they thought they were into satanic. They were like, they outcast them. They said, you're crazy. Bicycle mechanics. They're not aeronautical engineers. There was no such thing. Vision, guys, vision, right? So does that make sense about gravity? It's an invisible force. You don't know anything about it, but we're conditioned to work with it. It's a universal law. The law of vibration, everything operates by law. So vibration is easily explained when we take an acorn growing into an oak tree. This is probably the best example I've seen, because nobody here can deny that happens, right? But nobody can explain it either. Invisible, intangible forces that we're working with, universal laws. We all grow the same way. A baby grows just like an acorn. Same laws, right? So you take an acorn, which is at one rate of vibration, very low rate of vibration, and you put it in the right environment, a little bit of soil, water, 60, 70 degrees out, whatever that is. So you put this thing in the right environment. What you'll see under a microscope is the vibrational state of that acorn starts to increase. It starts to excite and speed up because it's in the right environment. Now, these are forces of nature. We don't know why that does it. We just know it does. And you can see this under a microscope. If you looked, you would all of a sudden, you would see when that acorn speeds up its vibration, that little particles from all over start to dance towards that acorn, little water and nutrients and minerals. And now it's not like you put it in the soil and the soil goes, right? It doesn't clump towards the acorn. It raises the vibration, gets on a frequency, and only what it needs to become the higher version of itself does it attract. See, this is the universal law of attraction. And you got people all over the internet claiming to be law of attraction gurus, thinking it's a primary law, and it's not. And that's why it doesn't make sense. We see this. What do you mean you can attract stuff? It sounds ethereal. It's not. It's science and physics. But attraction responds to vibration. Right? Did you ever hear the term misery loves company? You know why depressed people hang out with each other? Low vibration, boom, same frequency. You see a lot of billionaires hanging out with each other, right? Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Tony Robbins, I don't know if he's a billionaire yet, but you see those, right? High vibration, boom. Guys, this is magnetism. Attraction is magnetism. You don't question when you take two magnets and they stick together. You don't think about that. Same stuff. So the acorn raises vibration. Everything that it needs attracts to it, becomes one. It swells and grows and becomes the higher, bigger version of itself, just like a human being would. Right? So we can't explain this, but this is what happens. Now, if you take a brand new baby and you put it in a loving home, good income, 2 parents, all that stuff, and it grows up to be an engineer, or you take the same baby and you put it in, the Bronx, New York, or Harlem, or some, where there's a lot of violence and drugs, and it's like, it's not to say that the baby won't succeed, because human beings have a consciousness. We can shift our environment, but for the most part, if you took a baby and put it in a bad environment versus a good one, same baby would grow up 2 completely different ways. And I can prove this too. If we take every single one of you, if you know who Warren Buffett is, instead of growing up the way you did with the parents you had, what if you were born Warren Buffett's son or daughter? You spent the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years growing up in that environment. Like, you'd probably be a billionaire. So environment, guys, is stronger than heredity. Environment is stronger than heredity. Most diseases come from environment, not heredity. I know we're told that, but that's not accurate. Right? If you're living under the power lines, you might get cancer. What are you drinking? What are you breathing? What did your generations before you eat, drink, and breathe? So some of it comes to you, but it was all environmental. That make sense? So environment's everything. Here's the difference. We get to choose our environment, especially from today on. If you don't like where you live, you change it. Now, I'm not saying you can change it tomorrow, but you make a decision and you change it. Your house is your environment. That's the soil. The relationships you have. If you're hanging out with toxic people, that's your choice. That didn't happen to you. It's all environmental. See, with human beings, our mental environment is the strongest part. It doesn't really matter where you live. It doesn't matter how you were brought up. None of that matters. Your mental environment is the big thing. And up until now, you might not have known that you're in control of it. All right, so I want to chat a little bit about the transmutation of energy, another universal law, because that's really what we're doing. If you want to go from where you are to a 7-figure real estate agent or a property manager or a property owner and have 100 units, 1,000 units, whatever it is, you got to understand the law of transmutation of energy. And a good example here is I used to be an architect, and when I would sit with a homeowner, what they were doing is they had thought energy in their minds of the home they wanted to build. Maybe they went on house.com, maybe they went online, maybe they clipped some stuff out, maybe they drove around, but they would have thought energy of the home that they wanted to build, right? If anybody here has ever built a home, this is what you did. You were transmuting thought energy into the physical form. And what they would do is they would translate from their minds, right, to mine, that's not me, but to my mind, their thought energy, using drawings, pictures, using the English language. Like, what is language? Language is movement. When we use our vocal cords, all we're doing is moving. We're moving air. We're making sounds, right? Now, we interpret this as meaning something, but it's just noise. If I was talking to a brand new baby, it sounds like blah, 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 Charlie Brown's teacher, right? So think about that. Language is energy. Everything's energy. It's a transference of energy. Does that make sense? So then we transfer this energy, right? We go back and forth. We have what we call meetings. And the next thing you know, I design the house, get the blueprints. We agree that, yes, what you have on paper is what I was trying to translate to you. And then I would take those drawings and I would go to my subcontractors. Next thing you know, an excavator shows up, right? Foundations poured. This is the physical form of the thought energy. Think about this. Really think about this. Now, the foundation guys don't know that they're doing this, but they're doing it. They're just working. They don't know that this was my thought energy into their mind to cause them to move their bodies, right? Why would they know? We're not taught in schools. Framers show up, more contractors, right? Hundreds of contractors. We're starting to transmute that energy into the physical form of the thing. And eventually you have a, whatever this was, $7 million house in Weston, something that was thought energy, now you have the physical form. Does that make sense, guys? Now I'm really going to prove this to you here. Since we all agree that you can't have the physical house without thinking about it first, right? Somebody has to think of every single house that's here, every building, the Hoover Dam, anything that it's ever created. Somebody somewhere has to think about it first, right? So it's impossible to have the physical form of the house without thinking about it. But we can all think of a house right here. We can think of a house in Maui with 4-stall garage, with waterfall in the background, right on the beach, whatever it is. We can dream and think and visualize a future house. So if we can think about the house without having the physical form, but you have to have a thought to create the physical form, which one's more real? The physical house or the thought energy backed behind it? That one will bake your noodle. Think about it. It's impossible to have anything physical. Can't hold this, the suit. Nothing in this universe can happen without consciousness moving nothing into motion. That's how it all starts. The consciousness puts energy into motion. Now, you're probably asking, how does this relate to real estate? That's how Keller Williams is formed. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. You can form a company that operates all over the world with thousands of people by transmuting energy to and through yourself into the minds of other people. It's called the mastermind principles. This is how this is all done. Right? So we don't know that we're transmuting energy. Every single one of you, you can't not do it. You're a conduit for energy flow. So most people, it's like this, though, like I was. It's very chaotic. We don't know we're doing it, so we're kind of stumbling around. But if you look backwards, at some point you made a decision, ooh, he's hot or she's hot. Like, you transmuted energy, you spoke, you connected, and you're married. And you did the same thing. You might have had kids. That's all a transmutation of energy. Then you want to build a house. Well, this is what you did. Now, the thing is, you're just not thinking about the big stuff. You're thinking about, what can I do? That's the only difference, guys. This is not rocket science. It's not hard. We're just not taught to think bigger. We're taught by our environment to kind of blend in. You know, my buddy's a CEO. I'm going to be a CEO. My dad was a CEO. That's environmental. Nothing wrong with being a CEO. You just got to ask yourself, is that really what you wanted? Or did you just kind of follow, right? I followed my brother through trade school. I was very lucky to get into engineering and 17 years old working at GE, but that wasn't like a high school dream or childhood dream. I just got lucky. It was 100% environmental. And if you all think about your lives to this point, I mean, there's nobody here that's like an actor or a rock star, you know what I mean? Most of us, it was environmental, and maybe it still is. Maybe the only one that it's not is maybe my daughter, maybe some of you guys. I don't know your stories, but mine's different. I've made my own environment now. Like construction could fold tomorrow, it wouldn't even matter. If all these other revenue streams, I created my own economy, my own environment. I'm living from the inside out. Doesn't matter what goes on. Doesn't matter if the economy collapses tomorrow. I have skills, I have awareness, I have an international network, right? So how does that happen? It all happens with decision. Now listen, guys, these universal principles, you're not going to go to the top of a building and challenge gravity, are you? What would happen? Universal principle, right? Vibration, transmutation of energy, cause and effect, cause and effect. What are you causing for your future effect? Dunkin' Donuts every day, Water, soda, investing, not. It's all causes, and you're in control of them. So since we agree that we're not going to challenge gravity, why would you challenge vibration? Why would you challenge the transmutation of energy? You don't need to know how this works. I just want you to get enough to know that this is how it works. It's not my idea or my thinking. This is physics and science. All right, so that's why I wanted to drill this home. And before we get started on the meat of the seminar, I wanted to kind of open up your minds, get you thinking about transmutation of energy and some of these principles. And I really want you to understand faith versus fear, because this is what's holding everybody back. And it doesn't really matter what you're doing. If you're not operating at a very high level, if you're not hitting your targets, if you're not where you want to be, this is why. And we're going to show you how to correct this. So when we talk about changing a paradigm, what we're really talking about is changing your mindset, right? Your paradigm is all the subconscious programming that controls your thinking, what you think is real, what you think is possible. It controls everything about you. Now, you have a paradigm, I have a paradigm. I've shifted my paradigm to create revenue streams. I've shifted my paradigm to do a whole lot of things. I look back, and I've been working out and eating healthy since I was 17. So back when I was 17 in high school, I was really scrawny and small. And since I wanted to get with the ladies, I'm like, boom, right? But I look back, that's what that was. I had a paradigm shift based on an emotional impact of wanting to get with these girls, right? And now I've had that habit since I was 17 years old. I don't think about going to the gym. I don't think about eating healthy. That was the program I had way back then. So I was very fortunate, and my mom had something to do with that too. So since we want to change the mind, the problem is, what does the mind look like? If you want to change something, if you want to change the color of your master bedroom, it's brown, I want to change it to green. That's easy. If you want to change your car, you have a framework. You can go get a new one. But if you want to change your mind, what does the mind look like? Does anybody know what the mind, any guesses what the mind looks like? It's not a trick question. Anybody? Armin, would you say the mind, well, you know, actually. A sponge? Anybody else? You know what the mind looks like? I mean, most people would say this thing, right? It's the brain. Right? And this is the problem. See, the mind is no more the brain than it is like your fingernails or your heart. Your brain is just an organ. It's an electronic switching station. It sends and receives electronic impulses, right? To and through other people, through yourselves. We don't originate thoughts in the mind. It comes to our mind or it comes from other people. So since your brain is an electronic switching station, we're kind of left with what's the mind? See, mind is movement. It's consciousness. And we can go off on a whole different topic there, but it's not the organ of the brain. So what we have, guys, is something we call the stickman figure. Now, the reason why we have this is to give you guys a graphical representation of what the mind looks like. Now, this is not what the mind looks like, but it's a graphical representation of what the mind looks like. Does that make sense? So we have this framework, and it gives us something tangible to work with. You guys all have one, right? And actually, you want to take that out? Every one of you have a little laminate. You can take all that stuff home with you. This is the thing that's going to shift your awareness and shift your paradigm if you study this thing. So this is you. When you look at this, it's looking in the mirror. Now, that may sound funny, but it really is. This is how your conscious to your subconscious to your body operates. And now we let the bigger circle represent the mind, and the smaller circle represent the body. See, the body is an instrument of the mind. Think about that. When your body is just the thing that takes the physical actions, you're not your body. You live in your body. Right? You're a spirit that lives in a body. And the way I know this, if you were to lose your arm in an accident, you're still you, right? And you could lose your other arm in an accident, and then a leg, you're still you. So you're not your but that's another seminar. We get a lot of seminars coming out of this. But But this gives you a graphical representation. We have a conscious mind, which is a thinking mind, the emotional mind, right? Remember I said it processes about 40 bits of information per second? And then we have the subconscious mind, which is the data storage center. This is where all the programs are stored. It's no different than the programs on that computer, right? The computer has an operating system. Think of your subconscious like an operating system with a finite set of instructions that have been programmed in. What we can do from here is program in some new stuff and program out some bad stuff, right? Whatever can be programmed into your subconscious, like I can see you smoking, right? That was programmed in. You can program it out. If you're always in debt, that was programmed in. You didn't choose that. Those are habitual behaviors that you learn from your environment. So anything that's programmed in can be programmed out, including things like PTSD and depression. Now this is where we go head-to-head with the medical world, right? Because they're really built up on trillions of dollars of tranquilizers and things to just, physically make things go away. But anything that was programmed in, you're not born depressed, you're not born with PTSD, it gets programmed in from your environment. So if it can be programmed in, it can be programmed out. Now this is where people with depression, we hit a wall. And I'll go back to Henry Ford, because whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're correct. Think about that. So if I'm working with someone that's depressed, if they have a block and if they don't think they can do this, they won't. Their subconscious mind will take that command and they won't. They'll stay depressed forever. So that's the stumbling block. See, belief is everything. And I'm not talking about ethereal belief. I'm talking about understanding this stuff. You are living in a superhuman being. Like your subconscious mind is limitless. It's your conscious awareness with all the limiting beliefs that we got to work with that weren't even given to you, right? Those were given to you. You didn't even choose those. Right? So we have the conscious and the subconscious in the body. You can see here there's sort of a negative energy flow and a positive energy flow. Right? Remember I said energy is always flowing to and through, the transmutation of energy. This is what's going on. It's no different than flipping on a light switch and having a light go on. Does anybody here ever wonder, is the light going to come on this time? Is this going to work this time? No, it's a universal principle. If you turn the switch on, right, the flow of energy, which you can't explain, I can't explain it either, that's another invisible force, runs through the light bulb and turns it on. So human beings are no different. We are conduits for creation, though. Like this building exists because somebody transmuted that energy to and through them, right? So on the negative side here, we have ignorance. Now, ignorance is not a bad term. It's just not knowing, right? And ignorance comes from worry and doubt and negative thinking. It comes from a lack of knowledge, too. We get worry and doubt about things we don't know about. How am I going to start my real estate company? How am I going to do my first deal? What if it doesn't go through? Worry and doubt, low vibration. This is what we do. Now, you can choose what you want to think here, right? Right now, you guys can all choose about being in prison. I can give you images of being in prison or of starting your own real estate firm. You can paint that picture. Right? So we can choose this stuff, and this is what you're going to learn here today. So worry and doubt in the conscious mind produce fear in the subconscious mind. Right? It has to suppress to and through the body. So worry and doubt cause fear in the subconscious mind. Now fear in the subconscious mind has to, by law, suppress to and through the body into the physical form of anxiety. Anybody here ever had anxiety? Better question is, anybody not? I've had it before too. I know what it is now, so I don't, but that's what that is. Anxiety is a physical expression of a mental thought, right? We exist spiritually, intellectually, and physically. Whenever you have pain, it's always the result. Whenever you have anxiety, depression, or happy, or excitement, it's always the expression of the thought energy. So anxiety, guys, if we don't know how to get rid of it, it keeps on suppressing, it produces procrastination. Now this is a body not at motion. Right? And procrastination, because we are meant to grow just like the acorn, human beings are meant to grow all the way to the end. Retirement's the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard of. What you should do is find out what you're in love with and then do that forever. Find out what your passion, like I'll be doing this until I die. This is my passion, teaching, coaching, training. I'm just going to get bigger and better and bigger and better and go all over the world with this stuff, right? So I found my purpose and this is it. So I'm going to do this forever, forever. And that's what I would suggest. I know some of you guys are really passionate about real estate. What you want to do is choose the niche, choose the field. Like, how do you want to be in real estate? Do you want to be an agent, a broker, or an investor, or all of it? You want to teach it, impact others? You want to choose how you want to show up in that industry. So you can see here, guys, anxiety produces procrastination. In a body that's not at motion, that's depressing. We get depressed because we're not creating. That's usually what it is. unless there was some kind of psychological trauma. People that just sort of grow into depression over time because they're working at a dead-end job, this is what it is. They're not creating. They don't have a creative outlet. A good example of this is J.K. Rowling. When she was young in her early 20s, she was depressed, suicidal, going nowhere, and she transmuted all that depression into the Harry Potter empire. So think about that. She took something that was negative and she channeled that into this whole fantasy world in her mind to escape, and now she's at least a billionaire, if not more. She's got $1 billion empire. So this is the negative flow. Now you guys can choose this, right? Anxiety comes from ignorance. Fear comes from ignorance, right? Anytime you have fear, unless somebody's got a gun to your head, it's an invisible, intangible thing that we have to feed energy to. See, fear doesn't exist until you put energy towards it. Does that make sense? All right, let's talk about the right side of the equation. And this is the side that we live on here, right? Knowledge. Knowledge is knowing. So you're going to see that everything is an equal and opposite. Knowledge comes from studying, understanding. You guys are getting some knowledge today about how you even think and act and operate. From today going forward, you're going to leave better off than I found you. You're going to have some knowledge, right? Now with knowledge comes faith. See, faith is just understanding. It's the opposite of fear. So the energy that's coming to and through can go that way, or to and through and go that way. And it's your choice. This is the thing I want you to take away from this whole seminar. What you're doing with your thought energy is your choice. Now we're going to give you some mechanical methods today, quite a few actually, to show you how to break that paradigm. Because you've been programmed one way, so it takes a little bit, especially if you're 30, 40, 50 years old, 60 years old. You got a lot of programming we've got to rewire. You're going to leave with some actionable items and some tools, I guess I'll call them, on how to shift your paradigm. Right, so faith is where it's at, and I don't mean religious faith, although it is the same thing. Faith is knowing. Faith is not wondering. Like, I don't wonder if my software company is going to get to $1 billion. I know it is. And that may sound arrogant, but it's not. I know what we're doing. It's transmuting energy. We just keep moving until there is no deadline. It'll either become $1 billion company or I might pass away, but that's it. That's it. Faith is knowing. That makes sense? And that's one of the things that religion has really going for it, because they have blind faith a lot. Right? If people grow up in a very heavily religious, they just teach you don't have to know, just have faith. That's actually really good advice. You don't have to know about these universal principles. You just need to understand that this is what's happening to you and how to get in harmony with them. So faith produces well-being and calm and ease. I always talk about mastering how to remain in calm. No matter what happens in my life, for the most part, if you put your finger on my pulse, the world could be caving in. We have things blow up almost daily on one of our job sites. And Kenny's really good with this too. He's my main man. He's really good at just keeping everybody calm. Be cool. Everything's going to be fine, especially the homeowners, But if you understand this stuff, it wouldn't make sense to get angry. It doesn't make sense. Like two people arguing is just two ignorant people not listening to each other. It doesn't make sense to ever argue. There's no resolution. You're not moving in the right direction. It's low vibration. It's toxic to your body, right? So a body that's at acceleration takes a lot of action. The last 2 weeks of my network marketing company, we sponsored like 27 people. I reached out to, I think, over 300. Massive action. It's a whole different story, but it's a body in action, When you're taking that kind of action, you don't have time to have anxiety. See, it's called occupational therapy. When you take a lot of massive action, put your body in motion, you don't have time to think about yourself when you be depressed. It's impossible, right? And when you take action, guys, it's a body at ease. Because that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to grow. Does that make sense? So you guys all got these little handouts. We laminated those for you. I have those everywhere. I have them in my truck, in my office, everywhere. Because this is you. This is also the people you're going to be selling homes to. When you learn how to sell to people's paradigms, right, your sales go through the roof. When you understand people. See, they're not buying the house. In some cases they are, but they're really buying you too. Because normally when you make a relationship, they got to buy you first, and then you start taking them around. If we understand this stuff, you can read people, and it's not manipulative. It's just, I'm guessing you guys want to help people when you're selling homes. You're not just trying to shaft them on a house, right? You're trying to help that person. And this right here will help you guys sell a lot more homes. So I found this picture. What do you guys think this is a picture of? Anybody got any ideas? What does this represent to you? Overthinking? Anybody else? Anxiety. Who said that? Yeah. Anybody else? Chaos. Yeah. Stress, yeah. Stress is a result, right? Doubt. Things like worry. This picture to me summed it all up, because imagine trying to solve a problem in this state of mind. You're on a job site, excavator fell in the hole, right? Or something blew up, house is on fire. Imagine trying to solve problems in this confused state. Now, if the excavator falls in the hole, it falls in the hole. That's just an external stimulus. How I respond to it is what matters. How I perceive it, and if I pull this or just calm, go into problem solving, it is what it is, man. Everything in life, it just is what it is. How you perceive it is how you perceive it. Nothing is either good or bad until you perceive it, right? And then fear, right? So how many of you have said you start your real estate business? What if I don't sell any homes? Oh my God, what if I don't sell a home this month? I haven't sold one in a month. Now you're laughing because you start to see what we do to ourselves. So we become what we think. We attract what we think. If you're always thinking, I don't know if I'm going to sell a home, you're not going to sell a home. You're actually putting that energy out right to the homeowner or the client that you're trying to attract. You're not going to attract a home buyer on a low vibration. They're going to feel that they don't want to work with you because that's an energy transference. It's not going to feel good to be around you. They won't know why they feel that way, but now you do. So if you don't know how to get into a high vibration before you get into a client, we definitely want to schedule a one-on-one. Again, this is the art of sales, right? This is the art of sales. This is the essence of understanding human beings. So what do you guys think this represents? Success? Anybody else? Power? Anybody else on that one? Impact. How about faith? These people didn't wonder if they were going to be successful. They might have had some fear, but they didn't wake up every day saying, I wonder if this is going to work. They don't have time, right? They don't have time. Steve Jobs, they just had a vision. Like visionaries, that's what they do. Right? Elon Musk, he's blowing rockets up, billions of dollars here, and he doesn't care. He did have a nervous breakdown, so he probably needs a seminar too, but for the most part, right, he's blowing, he doesn't care about the money. Literally doesn't care about the money. Billionaire, not billionaire, right? But they have vision and faith. They have faith that if they persevere by law, now these people understand these laws, by the way. If you've ever followed Oprah Winfrey, she studies these laws. Same stuff we're giving you here, right? So if you're going to what if, let's what if what we want. What if I land a 100-unit subdivision? Right? What if I go see Grant Cardone and then I partner up with him? If you're going to what if, guys, why not what if in the right direction? We do this all the time. All the time. What if I get cancer? Well, what if you don't? Picture a little girl growing up in a household and her mom's got breast cancer, the grandmother's got breast cancer, and all she hears is breast cancer runs in our family. Well, your subconscious mind controls every cell in your body. The generation, we're spitting off hundreds of millions of cells a day, and our subconscious mind is building the new ones. Right? And this is why you can take a baby and program them one way or program them the wrong way. Right? So if you're going to what if in the right direction? So let me give you a little bit of history of the content. It goes back, right? It goes back to the beginning of time. Jesus and the apostles, they were a mastermind group. They had faith, didn't they? What do you think was going on? Faith healings. Any idea what that is? Faith healing is just other people believing more in you so their subconscious mind heals their own body. That's all that is. Jesus never healed anybody. He convinced them that he could so their subconscious mind healed themselves. Our subconscious mind, if you can strip away the limiting beliefs of the conscious mind, is designed to be perfect. There's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics you might want to get by Maxwell Maltz, all about the subconscious mind, right? But bringing this forward into the industrial age, Andrew Carnegie, the late 1800s, early 1900s, United States Steel Corporation, the first billionaire in the world, I believe, they figured that out. He understood these principles. Matter of fact, this is really the legacy of where this comes from. The book Think and Grow Rich that this all started with, at least as far as we go, Andrew Carnegie mentored Napoleon Hill, and Napoleon Hill took 25 years to write the book Think and Grow Rich, which is he interviewed the 500 wealthiest people in the world, and he did the biographies going way back, even before Jesus, right? And he was friends with Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie, the Firestones. So 25 years of study put into this book. And then people don't read the book. Right? The secrets of the ages are locked away in books, and we're taught actually to not like books in school. And that's the biggest travesty and crime. And I went 20 years without reading. Man, that was frustrating. And that's why we're here. I'm trying to break that chain, trying to get into the grade schools, the high schools, globally. If you want to know why I want to be a billionaire, that's why. Charter schools, like, have an impact. Get this stuff where it should be, Now, at that point, it'll be people's choice. I want to just give people a choice. Some people are just inherently lazy, and they just don't want that much, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we don't even have the choice in school. If you think about it, we're programmed to be teachers. A little bit of history, a little bit of math, a little bit of English, a little bit of science. You're literally getting programmed to be a teacher. Not an astrophysicist, or not an entrepreneur, or not an actor, or a singer, or a philanthropist, right? And then bringing that forward was Earl Nightingale, right? Earl Nightingale studied Napoleon Hill, and Earl Nightingale was Bob Proctor's mentor. And Bob Proctor is my mentor. So what I'm looking to do is carry the torch of this stuff, bring it forward. So we all have mentors, and that's where the history of this content comes from. None of this is really my ideas or my, I guess some of it's my spin, but I've just been studying for a long time, and it's just kind of bringing the information forward. All right, guys, so now we're going to get to some of the mechanics for your businesses. If you want to take out those notepads, some of this stuff will be hugely important. When you're talking about goal setting, this is not like traditional goal setting. When I told you I went from $1 million to $10 million in 12 months in my construction company, what I did is I learned to create a C-type goal. C-type goal. Now, ABC doesn't mean anything here. It could be 1, 2, 3, but for the purpose of this seminar, an A-type goal is setting a goal you already know how to hit. So when I was in construction, 1998 to now, it's like I would have years, I'd do 900,000, $1 million, and I would set goals to maybe go from $1 million to 1.1, 1.2, 10, 20% gains, right? Because that was my conditioning. That's an A-type goal. To go from $1 million to 1.1, I don't really have to do much more except hustle a little more. I don't need to learn anything. I don't need to grow. I just need to hustle a little more, or maybe find a little bit more profitability. Does that make sense? So we're doing A-type goals all the time. An A-type goal is actually a task. There's certain things we need to do every day, every week, every month, every year to get where we're going, but most of that's tasks, not goals. A B-type goal, you guys are going to laugh at this one. This is what a lot of people are doing. When my kids get out of school, then I'll do this. Right? When I pay my house off, then I'll start the side business. When I save up $100,000, then I'll invest in real estate. Guys, you don't need money to invest in real estate. We're going to go over that too. That's an illusion. That's a environmental programming. You can ask Grant Cardone about that. You don't need money to invest in real estate. So it's conditional. When this, and this happens, then I'll do that. And what we do, we're actually buying all of our own excuses. When my kids grow up, when I get this paid off, blah, 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 right? We're making all these excuses because it feels good. Because we don't want to look in the mirror and ask ourselves why we're not going after it and hitting the goals that we really want. And I've done this too, right? I've done this too. We all have. So a B-type goal is setting conditional responses. That's not how the world's 1% thinks. A C-type goal is what do you want? Never mind what you think you can get. What do you want? Right? What do you want? Because the reality, and I think you're starting to understand this, is you can get whatever you set your mind to and program your subconscious mind to drive the body to get. Now, it might take some time, and it's certainly going to take some work. Sacrifice is giving up something of a lower value for something of a higher value. Right? Get off the Facebook, get off the TV, study stuff, get a mentor. Right? It's going to take some work, but we're all going to go through this ride anyway. Like I said, you're going to spend the next 5 to 10 years doing whatever it is you're doing. So why not hit that slight edge every day? Study a little, study, rewire that subconscious thinking towards what you want. So a C-type goal is what do you want? Well, I want a $10 million company in 12 months. I have no idea I'm going to do that. Sounds bizarre, doesn't it? Now, we didn't hit the goal. That year we did $8.5 million. So by traditional thinking, I actually failed, didn't I? You see how this all works? We're not taught goals. See, visionaries, they set goals that are so big that even if I failed by 70%, I still would have went to 3 million. Right? That would have been 300% growth. You see how that works? Now, I'm not saying go set a goal to be at 10 billion by the end of the year, but there's somewhere in between where you're thinking now in the reality of what you actually can do. And it's not what you're doing now, I promise you that. We're all just scratching the surface of what we're capable of. Me too. I'm just getting warmed up. Bob's 84 years old. He says he's just scratching the surface of this stuff. He's setting new goals, you know. He said, how do I get past $2 million a week? And then he figures it out and does it. He's so conditioned. Now that sounds like a big number, but it's not. Not if he was sitting with Warren Buffett. It's all relative, the universal principle of relativity. So even Bob, right, when he says $2 million a week, it's all relative. That's just what he thinks he can do. And he knows this stuff. He teaches this stuff. It's funny. I started working with him, and he's got I'm a consultant with him. We're licensed to teach and coach and train his material. And he has a goal to get to 6,000 consultants globally. What he's trying to do is pass the torch, right, and impact the world with this information. And when I got to sit with him one-on-one, I said, Bob, first of all, I want to come here, and I think I have some ideas that can help your company. Why not 100,000? Why 6,000? And he just kind of looked at me, he got a twinkle in his eye, and he said, son of a bitch. See, we all have blind spots. I have them, you have them. That's why we get mentors. That's why we trade a little pile of green energy, a little pile of paper, to hire mentors, to increase the speed in which we understand material. It's a time compression factor. So C-type goals, guys. Forget the how. Forget the how. Like I said, I'm an engineer, so this is a tough thing. You have to fall in love. You're not going to know how. The only time you're ever going to know how is when you do it, you can look backwards and tell people what you did. Steve Jobs says you can't connect the dots going forwards. You're just going to make a decision. You'll figure it out. You're actually designed to figure it out. That's the beautiful truth. You're designed to figure stuff out, right? You're designed to be the VP of the company globally. It's what do you want? It's what do you want? How does this stuff happen, right? C-type goal. Don't need to know the how. Now, guys, when I flipped to the frequency of that $10 million goal, within 8 weeks, I landed a $2.5 million contract. Think of that. That's not magic. I just shifted. Well, I got it in my head. See, the problem is I wasn't even thinking $10 million in the first place. How the hell can you do something if it doesn't even enter your mind? That's the deal. It's not rocket science. I just wasn't even thinking 10 million because I was looking at my present circumstances. As soon as I did that, I flipped to the frequency. So I can't do remodels. I can't be swinging a hammer. I either need to build a lot of homes or some big ones. And I was like, well, I want to build big ones. I don't like doing the cookie cutter stuff. And it caused my well, where do the people go that are building these homes? Well, they go to the architects. Well, do I know any architects? Well, no. So I started networking with architects, met one, and within 8 weeks, $2.5 million contract. And then 3 more that year followed. So this doesn't take a long time. I mean, it might, but it doesn't have to, is what I should say. It takes, right, we have that universal law of gestation that can be a bitch. C-type goal. C-type goal. C-type goal, right? Athletes, science, sports, real estate, talk show hosts. Doesn't matter what you want. These are C-type goals, visionaries. Real estate. You want to market $200,000 houses or $2,000 million condos? Or somewhere in between, right? Uncle G. Right? Take a lesson from this guy. Now this guy, from what I understand, 45 years old or something, hadn't really accomplished too much. Maybe some of you know better than me, but not much. He's 61 now. It's all happened within the last 10 years. He wasn't married, didn't have his kids, didn't have this empire. So it doesn't matter what age you are. Colonel Sanders was 65 years old, broke and suicidal. By the time he was 84, he had an $8 billion empire. Age is an illusion. Young, older, 84, Bob, just getting warmed up. That's a paradigm in itself. If you're preparing for retirement, you're telling me you're preparing to die. You might want to shift that one. Do what you love, do what you want, get the money flowing in, find what you love, and then do it forever. Create. If you literally stop creating, you're going to get depressed, and I just showed you why. That makes sense? This is why multiple revenue streams are really cool. If you don't like what you're doing, that's okay. We can show you how to set up multiple revenue streams, build something on the side till it surpasses this. You leave that, and you take the side money, you invest in real estate, you invest here, you start traveling the world, you start meeting people, right? All right, guys, you all have a goal card that came in that little, I think they all do, right? Everybody's got a goal card. Don't fill that out now. We're going to kind of show you what to do there. But the thing that's cool about goal cards is whatever I put in my pocket, it happens. It happens. Software company, gaming company, clothing company, right? My $1 billion goal's on here. Now, this is not smoke and mirrors either. Every time I touch one of these, right to my brain, 5 years of planning, just all kinds of stuff. This is a tactile thing. So these goal cards are meant to carry with you. These are very worn. Anytime I want to do something, I put it on a goal card, put it in my pocket. Now, I've obviously been doing this for a while. I would suggest one or two. Your brain will expand to handle stuff, but if you start to do 10 things, get all fired up and do 10 things, you're going to probably crash and burn, and then we'll be doing a different kind of couch visit, right? So forget the how, what do you want? Short, concise paragraph. I'm so happy and grateful now that by January 1, 2020, I've sold more than $10 million in real estate, and it feels blank. I like to say all of my goal cards, I'm so happy and grateful now that, as if it already happened too. We got to convince the subconscious mind that we're already living it. Now here's the deal, I'm already a billionaire. In spirit energy, whatever you want to call it, energy, spirit, consciousness, I'm already a billionaire. Time is the only variable, and I proved it to you with the thoughts going to the house. It's not my opinion. My subconscious mind, my whole being, my spirit, anybody that knows me well, they know that it already exists. Time is the only variable, and y'all just need to figure it out, but I'm there, right? I've conditioned myself. It's not an if, it's a when, right? Vision board. Now, this is when a lot of people say, vision boards. This is, what are we getting into now? This is like one of those seminars. Not if you understand these principles, guys. Not if you understand, how do we get a vision? Right? The tip of the sword to the perpetual transmutation of energy is thought. Your thoughts, when we say thought, what you're saying is your brain is sending an electronic impulse. That's what the science of a thought is. Your brain sending an impulse out or receiving one. Right? Now, an idea is a collection of thoughts, which is just energy. And a goal is an idea that you fall in love with. Does that make sense? So a vision board, this is how we keep the vision. Right? I have 3 of these, 4 feet by 8 feet. Right? Small vision board, small goals. 4 feet by 8 feet. You would think I was a lunatic if you walked into my office. I've had people looking like, what is going on? But then they explain it and then they become a client, which is awesome. I had a cable guy come hook up our cable, looked at my office, we had a discussion, he became a client. So vision boards, I'm telling you guys, once you figure this out, I'm going to give you some evidence here too, like I like to do. Right? Going back to the Stone Ages, the Caveman Ages, we have these hieroglyphics, these paintings, drawings, whatever you want to call them, on the walls of caves, usually of all these big hunts, right? Whatever they were hunting back then with the arrows sticking out of the, right? So this is documented. Again, this is not my opinion, but what you need to understand about this is even back then, before language, we were using pictures, right? We think in pictures. We don't think in sound. We don't think in writing. We write and we speak to create images in the screen of the mind. So even back then, these pictures, they weren't drawing something that happened. They were drawing something they wanted to happen because they were starving. Think about that. They weren't having something happen and then documenting it. That would be a waste of time for them. They were praying to God or putting energy out into the universe. We need this. We need this for our family. Winter's coming. Does that make sense? So when I say vision board, understand at the very center of our being, this is how we think and act and operate. We need images, right? We only dress because we're trying to create an image in other people's minds. That's all that is. Everything's pictures. Now, how do you think this works if you're really good at articulating and painting a picture in your prospect's mind? What this home's going to feel like, smell like, look like, your kids growing up, painting that picture, being a human being instead of a prospect and a client, or a prospect and a realtor. You start to understand this stuff at a deep level, numbers go through the roof. The top performers in your companies are doing this, but they just can't articulate it. They just can't articulate it. Some way, shape, or form, they have that 7-figure image in their minds. They might have a vision board, they might not. There's a lot of ways to do this. I'm just trying to give you multiple ways so you don't. This is a no-fail recipe. And again, some of you would do this and some won't. It's not going to impact my life, but I'm trying to impact yours. All right? So we think in pictures. Now, when it comes to goal setting, one of the most powerful things that you guys are probably going to think is silly is creating a life script. Right? Creating a life script. Now, a life script is you writing a short story about yourself is basically what it is in the future. Mine started off as I used to carry affirmations. I would just very short statements. And for me, I started off with gratitude. Right? Gratitude is another way to put yourself in a high vibration. It's impossible to be given thanks. I'm so happy and grateful for the hot running water, for the roof over my head, for my family. It's impossible to be in that mode and be depressed, because one's a high vibration, one's a low one. And that's another way to break the cycle of depression, is to be grateful. Another way to break depression is go help somebody. See, depression is an inward reflection of what's going on in your life. If we break that cycle and just say, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go down to the food shelter or the homeless shelter and bring food. I'm going to go help somebody that's way worse off. You can't be doing that and being depressed at the same time. You can't go for a run and be depressed at the same time. So you can physically break these cycles. Kind of going off tangent there, but the life script helps with all this stuff. Right? Your life script is you talking to yourself about yourself in the future, which sounds completely insane. Right? It's you talking to you about yourself in the future and then recording it. That's the one most of you are not going to do. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I want to program it. Hopefully you will do it. You should do it. Some of the key people here that I know are succeeding at high levels, they do this. So if I'm 48 years old or 43 years old and I want to rewire 43 years of programming and my subconscious mind is 1,000,000 times more powerful than my conscious mind, how do we do it? I don't know. Put the earbuds in the morning at 4 a.m. and talk to myself. Pattern interrupt, right? So this is what I do. I have my recorded life script. It's gratitude. I'm so happy and grateful I live in a healthy body. You guys are going to get my information too. If anybody wants to dig deeper into this, we can get on a call. But there's a whole pattern to it. Mine's about 20 minutes long now. It starts with gratitude, health, wealth, love, spirit, gets into businesses, kicking ass, and it ends up on that composite. I say things like, I am Bob Proctor. And I don't want to be Bob Proctor, but when I'm up here teaching, I want to have that essence, right? I am Grant Cardone. I don't want to be Grant. He's Grant. I'm me. But I do want to kick ass in real estate like he does. So we can kind of get into that. But this is the gist of it, right? And it started off as a notepad with individual affirmations. Now, what I did to make it a story is I added color to it. I'm so happy and grateful now that we have our house in Maui on the beach and then flying around in my helicopter and the green waterfalls, and it feels so, right? You add color to it. What does it feel like, smell like? Put yourself there. So I wrote it all out, and then at 5 a.m. in the morning, I was very calm and a very low meditative voice. I recorded it on, everybody's got a free app, I think, Voice Loop on your phones, and you can hit the loop button. So I get up at 4 a.m., I stumble over, I put my earbuds in. Now, I don't think about that. Think about this one. I wake up, I go over, boom, in. So now I have this 20-minute recording that I'm looping. It doesn't give me time to worry, doubt, fear. What's today going to happen? What's going on? You see? That's how you rewire your mind if you're serious. If you're serious. So the life script is the most important thing I've showed you here today. Goal cards are good, vision board's good, setting goals, all that. Life script is the big one. So guys, I kind of have this daily visioneering, AM and PM. I get up, give gratitude, life script, my list of demands. I ask for guidance, whatever that, whatever you believe in. The fact of the matter is, if thoughts are not originated in the human brain and they come from somewhere, and again, that's not my opinion, that's science, what's the somewhere? So again, this is not a religious, whatever you believe in is whatever you believe in, but they come from somewhere, right? So I ask the somewhere for guidance, whatever you think that is, right? And again, life script. We got to consciously overwrite the programming in the subconscious mind. Consciously put the earbuds in. Consciously go to the gym for like 60 days before it becomes a habit. You have to consciously break these habits. The way I get up at 4 a.m. is I put my alarm clock across the room, right? I physically did a paradigm shift. Instead of being able to hit, now I got to get up, and for a while I had a sign that says, "Stay up, dummy." You wrote this, stay up. We are going to stay up. Now I really sound insane, right? But that's the deal. That's the deal. The crazy ones are the ones that get to the top. As Steve Jobs said that. The people that are crazy enough to think they could change the world are the ones that usually do. Now think about this. If 97% of the people are going in the wrong direction, most everything I'm going to tell you here is not going to make sense. It's going to seem silly or, right? These people are doing it, right? You want more evidence? Thought. Who has an iPhone? Think about this stuff, right? Now, guys, what I want you to do here, if this is piquing your interest, if you resonate with this, I want you guys to take out your phones right? Take out your phones. I want you to text to 484848 and text MMA. We get a free giveaway here, MMA, to that code. Now what that's going to do, it's going to give you a link to our Matrix Mindset Academy. If this is resonating with you, we have daily live coaching on Facebook, and we have hour-long live coaching webinars just like this on Monday nights. But it's a Q&A, it's an interaction. And what you're going to get here is a 30-day free trial. Right? You can get to know us a little deeper, see if this stuff resonates, see if we can connect the dots for you guys. We had one client on the MMA, her name's Val. She's only 3 weeks into this, and she was a laid-off school teacher, broke, foreclosure, and she was working on an idea for 2 years, which was a car wash, but she needed $200,000 to complete this. We started working together in this course, and 3 weeks later, she had $500,000. Now that's not smoke and mirrors. I taught her how to raise her level of vibration, how to connect with people, how to talk, and she found an investor. Instead of investing the $200,000, they wanted to be a partner, and they wanted to build these things all over the state. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen to you. What I'm saying is a 30-day chance for free to find out what we're all about. Does that make sense? Now, guys, if you do like that, if you work with us, and you like that, that course ends up being 67 cents a day. So, all right, we're going to take a 15-minute break. Hopefully this is resonating with you. The second half of this is going to be more tools for real estate, more about business efficiency, stuff you can take notes on, bring home with you. All right, so we'll see you guys in 15 minutes, and you can go ahead and grab some donuts and stuff or whatever's back there. Thank you.